This is the revision podcast for MEST 1, and this is the introduction to MEST 1, the Section A part of the examination. Section A, facts and figures. This is the unseen part of the examination. That means the examiners can choose whatever text they like to show you. We have no idea what the text could be. They tend to choose texts that are quite short and quite straightforward to show students because obviously you've only got a short amount of time to analyse them. However, there is no pre-release stuff for this, so it could be anything. Bear that in mind. They will show a text which you may not have seen before. I mean, sometimes there has been text that have been used which students have seen before, such as an advertisement, but don't worry if you haven't. They're expecting you not to have seen it before. So if you have seen it before, great. If you haven't, don't worry. They're still expecting the same information from both of you. This section is worth 48 marks. This means that this part of the exam is worth nearly 60% of the overall mark for the MEST 1 paper. So it is worth more than your case study part. So bear that in mind. That's why you've got longer to do it. The 48 marks are broken down into 4 questions. Each question is worth 12 marks each. The 4 questions cover the main media studies key concepts. These are media forms, media institutions, media representations, and media audiences. We'll look at these more separately in the other podcasts, but that's just giving you an overview. They are on the 4 media studies key concepts. You will have 1 hour and 15 minutes for this section of the exam. It's a 2-hour exam and you've got 1 hour 15 for this part. 15 minutes is viewing and note-taking time. Use it wisely. Don't start writing. Use the viewing and the note-taking time. Students who start questions early may mean that you've missed something from the viewing or you miss it, a note that you've made. So just use the time. 1 hour will be actually writing answers to the questions. You should spend 15 minutes on each of the 12 mark questions. Do not spend longer than this. They are worth the same. So it doesn't matter if you say you spend longer on one question than the others, that means you're not allowing yourself to get more marks. Remember, you're marked for the whole of that section, not on individual questions separately. So spend 15 minutes, no more than 15 minutes on each question. The viewing. If the text is broadcast or e-media, then you will only see it 3 times, just 3 times, okay? You're advised to make notes on the following questions on each viewing. You do not have to. Some people do not want to. Some people prefer to do it in a slightly different order. But this is my suggestion. Your first viewing, I would make notes on the forms and representations you notice. The second viewing, I would make notes on the institution and representation. This is to answer those questions. So obviously read the questions first before making notes. On the third viewing, I'd make notes on audiences and anything else you've spotted in that third viewing, okay? If it's print, it's different. If the text is a print text, you will probably be left the text for the whole of your exam. They won't take it away. However, you should still make notes in your booklet rather than on the print text itself, just in case the invigilator does decide to take the text off you or they change the rules and regulations. So I wouldn't make notes on the poster or the advertisement you're given, that if it's print, make it in the booklet, just in case, okay? Background information. Read, highlight or underline key things or points made in the background information of the text in the booklet, okay? For example, I'm going to show you one now. This is the mock question paper for 2009. It was a print text this year and it was an advertisement. So let's have a look at this, the background information given at the start. Right, the enclosed insert shows a reproduction of a magazine advertisement from Microsoft's Xbox 360 published in the Guardian Weekend magazine on Saturday 24th November 2007. Well, firstly, I would underline Microsoft and Xbox 360, so we know it's a video game console. And obviously it's quite a big brand, and this was when the 360 came out, so it's obviously to promote a new, so we already know this is a promotion for a new product, okay? Also, the Guardian Weekend magazine. That's where it was published, where it was put. So I would also underline that information, because the Guardian, obviously we know a bit about the Guardian being a broadsheet paper. It is probably got quite a middle class, intelligent audience. So that's something to be aware of. And they're usually a little bit younger. They're not the older audience, but not too young, obviously, not teenagers and things like that, because it's a newspaper. So bear that in mind. And it's their magazine on the weekend. So it's not the newspaper itself. It's a weekend supplement. So when your parents might get big newspapers at the weekend, they've got magazines and bits in them. So we already know this is sort of advertising and stuff for people to read at leisure on the weekend. Look, it even tells you when. Also notice the time. It's November, end of November. What's coming up in December? Christmas. Okay, new Xbox game. Who do you think these people reading this? They might have children, they might have Christmas present they've got to get. Oh look, there's an advertisement for a new console system. There's a bit of it to look at there. It also carries on in this bit of information. The advertisement was part of a campaign to promote the Xbox games console to a middle-class family audience in the run-up to Christmas. There you go. Pretty much what I've said already is then backed up here. So it's a campaign, so the fact it's called a media campaign, remember we discussed campaigns, it's a large scale with lots of different platforms used to promote a product. So this is a part of a large engineered program to try and get the Xbox put out there as being something to buy. It's an advertisement. We know it's middle class family because they can afford it, etc. At this time, the Xbox 360 was in direct competition with a number of other brands such as PlayStation 3 and Nintendo Wii. So there we go, we've already got that they're trying to promote themselves above their competition. So that's something you might want to think about, such as the brand image of Xbox and Microsoft. It's not PlayStation, it's not Nintendo, it's Microsoft. What do we know about Microsoft? Well, we know it's Bill Gates. We know it's obviously the main, it's become the main gaming console, the Xbox, and it also allows you to do other things as well, which I'm sure the advert will show us. Carrying on, it says, you should bear in mind that the advertisement is constructed to look like a magazine article. So they're telling us, although it looks like a magazine article, it is not a magazine article. So you need to think, why have they made it look like a magazine article, but it's not one? They're obviously going to use conventions of magazine articles there. And that's something you need to mention when you get your media forms. And if you look, you can see the question has basically said what I have just said. They're asking you to therefore look at how is it a magazine article, what they've done, how have they used the conventions of a magazine. A preview of the question is below. After you study the media product, make notes on it, write your answers in the space provided. And then we'll go through the questions separately later. But that information, there's a lot of information there. We know the time, we know where it's been placed, this advertisement, we know it's an advertisement, we know it's a large company, we know about the institution, we know who the target audience are. These are lots of information that's just been given to us in that small bit, so that's something you need to look at your text. Go through it, make notes on those things that are important, because you're probably going to refer to them later. Okay? Some starting points, okay, before we get into the podcasts for the individual sections, some starting points to think about. It is important to try and capture your initial responses. For example, what is your main stroke first impression of the text? I would record that first. What is your first impression? Don't say it's rubbish or something like that. What does it make you feel? How do you think? Do you think it's clever? Do you think it's interesting? Did it make you laugh? Did it make you want to find out what the text was going to happen next? Did it make you want to find out more? What is your initial impression? Okay. Think about the context of the text. Remember the background information. Where is it from? What do you know about the institution who created it? Why was it created? Think about all these things as well. That will help you understand the text. And finally, identify the precise function and objectives of a text is always useful starting point in section A. So what is the text? What kind of text is it? What is its point? What is its purpose? Why is it there? If it's a trailer, then it is obviously trying to promote the film. Therefore, they're going to show certain good bits of the film to try and get you interested. That is its function. Where was it? Where was it published? When did it come out? What film is it? These are all things you need to think about. So what is the function of it and what is its objective? Sell a product, promote a service, tell you something, educate you. What is its purpose? What is it trying to do? And that is how I would start your introduction to section A before we focus on the main questions at hand.